I'm going to be talking about the most important things when you are building your Instagram as an esthetician. So this is something that I did from scratch about 3 years ago, and I now have over 117,000 followers. And I'm going to be talking about some important factors to consider when you're building your business. And the first thing I want to talk about is really focusing on getting clients and not virality, because in the beginning, we really just focused on how we could get people in the door and making sure that we were attracting local followers instead of, people from all over the world. And that's where our Instagram is now. But when you're first building your business, you really want to attract eyeballs that are around you. So 300 views is actually more beneficial if there are people who are local versus 300,000 views and they're spread all across the world. And Instagram is really pushing out your content to other creators in the space that are just like you. So that's one of the first things I really want to dive into today.
Yeah, I had an amazing consult the other day with an orthodontist who already has a really solid following, and he was looking for some advice to find that balance as a larger account. And what we're going to break down today is really not starting from scratch necessarily, but starting from the most important things as an esthetician. And I know people look at, our Instagram now with Skin by You having over 100,000 followers, of that being the goal as an esthetician. And for us, we knew we would grow on Instagram from the beginning, but it really wasn't the goal, because the goal was really to get clients in the door in the beginning. And if you're at a place in business where you're still trying to get clients, then the followers should literally mean nothing. And I made a joke, and we've talked about this a lot before, is that our videos that can kind of go viral in our niche at least, and getting a couple 100,000 views and getting shared all over. My joke is always, I guarantee the people who share our videos probably get more new bookings from our videos than we do, because our content, it still does go out locally, but a lot less, because the bigger the audience gets, Instagram starts to better understand who is liking and sharing. And if mostly estheticians are sharing your content, then Instagram's going to give us to more estheticians.
Oh, yeah.
So in the beginning, it's really important, like you just mentioned, those 300 views really do mean a lot. And when we first started posting, and we had 0 followers when we first started Skin by, I guess everybody has 0 followers when they start their Instagram. But with 0 followers, I remember our big goal was always, like, when we got to that 200 views and 300 views, we would post 3 times a day, because in our mind, at the time, our content was really going out to 99% in our local cities. And that's why it's important in the beginning to really hyper focus on teaching new things to potential clients, showing yourself as a professional and as a niche down expert when you first start really kind of focusing on that content. And so those 300 views did mean the world to us. And those 300 views did book clients. And now we can get a video. We have our hydrofacial video and I know this one's a little bit more broad, but it's showing how a hydrofacial works, has 5 million views. And nobody booked appointments because of that video. We've had new bookings, but we
don't know though.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I mean, I think people would probably mention it if they came in of hey, I saw this crazy hydrofacial video and I want one. But any new bookings we've had this past couple weeks since that videos came out, a few from Google, a few from Instagram. But I don't.
My point is that when you get so broad, you don't know where things come from when it's Instagram, unless it's on your intake form, of course. But it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. But I think, like you just mentioned, the main thing to focus on in the beginning is appreciating those 300 views. And I had a talk with the ortho about kind of trending, and I think I'm becoming a really old man on trending videos now, and this is where I'm going to be a hater. And if you're trying to build a clientele, you should not be spending any time doing trends. I think that what I mentioned to him is, I think one of my biggest issues with it is the mental place that you're putting into making a funny trending video, and you could be putting that same mental energy and passion into content that will book clients. And if you've booked clients off doing trending videos, like the really basic dances or making fun of things, please let us know in the comments, because I can be wrong and I will stand corrected. If I'm wrong, then I'll take that. But I do think that you should be focusing on what your clients are looking for, the pain points that they're having. I don't think you can correctly display clients' pain points in a goofy trending video. And my biggest issue I had when I told the ortho was that, and same thing with estheticians, if they're scrolling and let's say they're looking through estheticians, or in general, you're scrolling and just seeing that same trending sound over and over and over again, you're more likely to just move on. Especially if you've already found one that's funny. The TikTok sound, the Jet 2 holiday. How many of those videos do you just skip now? Because you're just like, I don't even want to hear this again. I don't even know if it's good, if it's boring. I'm just sick of this. I don't want people to do this anymore. And I know it's not across the board, but yeah, sorry, rant over on my old man not liking trending videos anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for you to look at your analytics. So that's something that we really did in the beginning, was when we were getting new followers, we were constantly checking our analytics to make sure that our 4 top cities were in our local area. So Scottsdale, Gilbert, Queen Creek, things like that. So check your surrounding cities, make sure you're tagging your location in every single post, and just know that when you're posting, let's go back to the trends a little bit. So when you're posting the trends, you are most likely getting people who can relate to you, other estheticians that can relate to you. Your clients can't relate to you when you're posting a meme about when your client cancels last minute. So keep that in mind when you are posting. You're going to attract estheticians rather than clients, and every post should be the goal to book a new client. Now, maybe that exact post won't get you a client, but your overall branding and your overall Instagram of educating clients, showing some personality and some shape or form, and making sure that you are showing your results and what somebody can expect when they look to book an appointment. I think that we're so focused nowadays on views. Number one, Instagram has made it so easy to feel discouraged that now that you can hide your views, you can hide your likes, and we all get caught up on the embarrassment of not having the eyeballs on us. And just know that Instagram is just another form of marketing. You should really be focusing on Google reviews and SEO, which we can talk about in another video. We have another episode with Jared Rohr, and he talks about all that. So if you're confused on that sentence that I just said, make sure you go back and watch that podcast. But there's so many ways that we can really just focus on bringing eyeballs with potential clients and not for other estheticians. Because when you're building in the beginning, you have to be so careful. And that's something that we really made sure that we did, was, again, tagged every single post with our location, surrounding cities and us. And that way we were engaging with local communities and local businesses in our community, and just really don't focus on views so much. I talk to a ton of people who really obsess over views, and it's not important. Again, you should have eyeballs on the people around you who are surrounding you and not random people, because that really doesn't matter.
Yeah, in our beginning, we had a really slow growth. We didn't just explode on Skin by You because of the high quality videos, and of course we were always trying to make better and better videos, and we wanted the reach. More reach does mean new eyeballs, which can mean new bookings. But in the beginning, we were really careful of, we really almost didn't use trending songs very often. That wasn't a part of the strategy. A before and after had to come out every single day. There was a time that we'd go weeks straight of posting a before and after 5 days a week on top of a video, because the idea was that the reels would get the reach. And if somebody locally saw that video, they'd come in to the Instagram, see the before and after, and book the appointment. So the results, like you mentioned, those are everything. And nowadays, before and afters can get amazing reach too. We have some really big posts that are before and afters that have gotten thousands of likes, even in the beginning, before and afters were huge. And that goes back to a strategy that we haven't done in a long time. And I think we talk about this every few months, that we should do it again. But one of our biggest strategies that worked really well in the beginning was after videos. So a video of a client's beautiful glowing skin, and it would just be a nice, even a hydrated glow. There was no before, it was just the result. And people could tell they were relaxed, right? Because somebody's, they're sunk into the bed. And then you would write something on the screen to kind of hook people in a little bit. And those videos, when those were consistently coming out, we were reaching tons of locals, and we were getting new bookings constantly.
And it's really important to play around with your lighting in your room. Every room is going to look different, and that's something that's really important. I know it's silly, everybody says it, but one thing that really stood out about my videos during that time, which I shot with an iPhone, were that I had this really pretty orange, it was an orange lighting with my mag lamp that I had at the time. It was moody, and there was a corner light. There was, my mural in the background. So find ways that you can make your videos stand out, because if you're just posting an afterglow, that might not get a lot of reach. So you have to be really strategic. And one thing I also did was put it on portrait our cinematic mode. For if you have an iPhone, you can really utilize that tool. You can play around with the lighting. Just remember, your purpose again is that if you're consistent and you're constantly working on doing better, you're going to get growth. And just remember that when you're growing, you have to realize that you're making a name for yourself. So if you're just constantly just throwing things out there, you want to be niche down to a sense where people can recognize you as a brand, and you don't want to just throw anything out. Because if you focus on something that does well, do you genuinely enjoy that? You know, so it's really important that as you're growing and what you're showcasing really represents who you are as a brand and a company.
Yeah, you got me back worked up on trending videos again, because that'd be the opposite of that, because then all you're doing is what everybody else is doing. How does that make you any different? And I also, the trending things that we see in the aesthetic space that somebody does, that they pull from a popular trend and they bring it into the aesthetic space, and then everybody does it. So then let's say you're not trying to book clients and you're trying to build a brand. You're still not even doing that, because everybody is doing the same exact thing. And all you did is just copy the wording, or you try to tweak it just a little bit. And it doesn't showcase you. It's not memorable because people have seen it over and over and over again.
I will say, if you're going to do trending sounds, make sure it is centered around your clients and how they could relate to you. Yep. Don't do when my client comes in for their first dermaplaning appointment and they won't stop talking. There's, and I think that there is a certain point where as you grow and you feel more comfortable branching out into, kind of goofing around with your Instagram, but take it seriously. Take Instagram at this is your business. So if you're really trying to focus on clients, make sure that, as in the beginning at least, before you kind of branch off and go into those things, to really just focus on you and what clients can expect when they book an appointment with you.
And I want to circle back. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about building a brand in the esthetician space too. If there are estheticians that are maybe fully booked and they're looking to get into influence or brand deals or speaking engagements, and they're really trying to build a brand outside of the treatment room, I want to talk about that. But before we talk about that, and before we even finish the subject, I do want to make sure we lay a roadmap out for estheticians who are looking for ideas and advice on growing and getting new clients on Instagram. So we'll touch about that. Then we'll go into the influencer and the branding thing. But before we touch on that, I want to talk about our Patreon. So our Patreon is, I guess, the sponsor of this episode. We're sponsoring ourselves here. So the Patreon is our community over on the Patreon app. It's a desktop and a mobile app. And we have over 120 videos there, all separated into amazing collections to help you build your business. And we actually talk a lot about building on Instagram. You show them how you got those amazing after videos. You show them how you take amazing before and afters. We show them the walkthrough when posting a before and after of how to get maximum reach and really book clients off of it. Yep. Shooting and editing video. Everything you need, we believe, to grow your business. The Patreon app is what we needed when we first started. So we've taken all of this information that we've learned over the past few years, talking to 100 estheticians about what they've done, and we've put it all onto Patreon so you can learn and grow your business. It is a monthly subscription. You can cancel anytime, join at any time. We've had amazing results from estheticians over there that have reached out and said that they've transformed their business with the content we have. So we have
almost over 1,500 members. So make sure you join the community. We would love to have you there.
Exactly. So now let's jump back in, and I want to finish up talking on what estheticians should be doing to grow their Instagram. We talked about a lot of things that they shouldn't do, or we kind of lightly touched on things that they should focus on. But if you're an esthetician, back at square one again, what things did you do, maybe the little things, along with consistency, that actually built clients?
Well, I first want to say that when you're building your Instagram, and you can look back at mine, I was not, my branding and my aesthetic wasn't all the way there. It was something that took practice. It was something that took time. It was something that I had to learn myself, of who I was as an esthetician and how I wanted to brand myself, my colors. I even rebranded after a year. So just know that when you first start, you're learning, and you may not make the perfect Canva graphic. You may not have the perfect colors. So just keep that in mind. It does take time to build a brand. But the biggest thing, once you kind of get that going and you're on a roll, make sure that you figure out what is your niche. Now, you can offer different services, but how are you branding yourself? What are you an expert in? We talk about that all the time. So that's really important when somebody comes to your page. This is your digital storefront. So make sure that it is clear, clean, and cohesive is what we always say as well. So when they go to your page, how can somebody get to know you as an esthetician when you are, having your you need to have you on your page. You need to have your face. You need to have what it looks like when somebody's booking an appointment with you, the experience, your face, whatever services that you provide, what is the solution that you can provide? So make sure that you have that. Make sure that your page isn't clunky. Make sure that you have a very clean page, and showcase before and after. Showcase your services. And one thing that I constantly did in the beginning, and especially when I brought on hydrofacial, because that was my dream to have a hydrofacial device, that is all I posted for a really long time. And now I can confidently say that people see me as a hydrofacial expert. So when they think of Skin by You, they think of hydrofacial acne expert, cinematic videos. So a premium brand. And just remember that the way that you constantly show up on social media, how are people going to remember you? What are the things that people think of when they think of you? I think of, like, we go back to Acne Maddie all the time, the blues, medical and clean aesthetic, and her as an acne expert, just really honing in on who she is as a provider. So look at your inspirations too. See, the biggest people in the space, they're consistent with who they are, and everybody knows them for something. And as you grow in the space, you're going to figure out who that is for you.
Yeah, and that's why consistency is so important when it comes to posting on social media and even doing treatments to find out what you love, so people can get to know you for that. And like you mentioned, the hydrofacial was our thing, and why that's big, not just for the brand and for the space, but what we found is that when that's all you ever talked about and all you ever did, there was people who stumbled across your Instagram, a lot of real estate agents, because they're really active on Instagram, but they were referring people to you because they'd hear somebody go, oh yeah, I've heard amazing things about a hydrofacial. Have you ever had one? And they would go, oh no, I haven't, but you have to go see Skin by You for a hydrofacial, because that's just, they all you did was just yell at them that you are a hydrofacial expert, and that's what you became known to them. And I think who does this really well in the space in general is waxers. I think that a lot of estheticians really struggle niching down because it feels so scary. They don't want to lose clients. They don't want to turn people away. And I understand how scary it is in the beginning to not have clients. Yeah. And if you go, if I take away brows, I'm going to lose 10 clients, and those 10 clients keep the lights on. And that's okay to keep doing those brows. And I'm just using that as an example. But you just need to switch your marketing to facials, and you can still offer brows to all the people that are there. And if they refer people, you could keep on doing them until you can build that facial clientele, or vice versa. But I think waxers, they really, I see a lot of waxers in the space that really just lean in on being amazing waxers, right? And that's it. And they have no shame. They make amazing money. They're really happy with what they do. A lot of them find it as really easy work. They love like the instant gratification that they get and a client gets from waxing an armpit or wherever else they wax. But I think that those are the people that I look at and go, they're just going to, because people are going to look up waxing and they're going to look at this person that's like the wax specialist. Absolutely. And if I was a potential client, a customer, I'm going to go to the person whose whole page is the expert waxer compared to the esthetician that I land on that goes brow, lamination, waxing, facials, eyebrows, eyelashes, right? Who am I going to go to? I'm going to go to the person whose entire feed is dedicated because I'm going to see them as the expert in waxing, even if their service prices are higher. Right?
And I think that's one of the biggest things that I see in the space is, people ask us all the time, I really want to get booked with hydrofacials. I really want to get booked out with facials or, lasers, and they're posting brow photos. That's a big mistake that you shouldn't be doing. You should be offering those services. Again, as we talked about, you can offer those services. You can even have them in your service menu as an add-on or whatever it is. But when somebody's coming to your page, again, going back to the digital storefront, you need to have, if you want to get booked for facials more, you need to post facials. You can't be posting brows. I know that, let's say you had an amazing transformation, save that until you're like fully booked or whatever, wherever your goal is. But if you want those, if you're building and you want that to be your main booking source, you need to showcase facials. And that means bringing in somebody for free. That means bringing in a friend or a family member to come in and you can make content with. So just think of ways that you can think outside of the box when you're trying to get your dream clientele, and not discounting yourself either.
Exactly. And people are not going to get bored of you. I think people are so worried. And like going back to the consult I had the other day, they're like, are people going to get sick of us posting the same thing over and over again? And my thing is always, if people love you and they support you and they're your client, they don't care how many times you post. They're going to like it just to like it, to support you, and they're going to move on. And if
there's
people
mutings now, there's
they could do all that too. But I think in general, if they don't like you, they're just going to unfollow you, and you don't want them anyway.
Exactly.
And when we first started, we were posting 3 to 4 times a day, and we were gaining followers. We were netting new followers constantly, and people worry about this all the time. I've heard about posting too much. You can't post too much. You can if the post isn't good though. If your posts suck, then yes, you can post too much, because we see content all the time. And if you're going to flood the feed with stuff that people know you're not even trying and you don't care, then yes, like it's like if you put a before and after up and then write your caption as before and after. You are posting too much. Stop posting.
Absolutely.
Right. But if you're going to put your heart and soul into your content and you want growth and you want to potentially find new clients with every single post, then you got to try. You got to be consistent. The consistency also helps you get better. The more you keep doing it, the better the posts are going to get. Like you mentioned with those Canva graphics, your initial Canva graphics, they were pretty rough, but I'd always encourage you, let's just put them out and move on.
And once you find that,
and learn. Sorry, you could jump in.
Oh no. And once you find that Canva template that you fall in love with, just keep reusing that same template that you made that was golden fire.
And you did that all the time. And the content always did well. The post always got reach. People always enjoyed it. They always learned something new. They didn't even care that it was the same template with different emojis over it, right? But to you might go, oh no, everyone's gonna get so sick. I just switched out the heart for a, whatever holiday it is. And nobody cares.
And also remember that if we didn't post 3 days, if we didn't post 3 times a day, we wouldn't be where we are at today. We wouldn't have the growth that we have today, because that is truly how we got better. That is truly how we were experimenting, and we're like, let's try this, let's try that, let's try different wording, let's try different pacing of the video. And you really have to study these things. And again, practice just makes perfect, you guys. It's something that I see all the time, and it just doesn't happen overnight. We had a goal where I think we finally hit over 10,000 followers, and that's really when our account started to take off. And then we had a goal where and this is where you have to think too, your goals may change within your business. I didn't ever have a goal to be not a leader in the space, but I guess an influencer in this space. I didn't have a goal of that, but it just happened naturally. And once we hit 10,000 followers, my goals changed, and that's okay to grow with your business. But we set a goal then to reach 30,000 followers. Then once we hit 30, we had a goal to reach 50. And then we finally had a goal to reach 100,000 followers. And now we're just at a steady pace of growth. And I think now that we're venturing out into other, things like, in-person events, just really growing Optimize Aesthetics, this podcast, I'm very content and happy with what I have, and I'm very grateful. But just know that your goals can change too. Yeah,
I mean, going back to that too, I'm thinking about as our Instagram grew, the goals in business changed, because when we first started, we wanted you to be fully booked 5 days a week. That was the complete goal when Skin by You started, was Monday through Friday. You were going to work 8 hours a day. You're going to have a full client list. We were going to make $100,000 a year was our big, huge goal. And you were working a lot. And as the Instagram grew and you found a voice doing the podcast, and after a year in business, I've peer pressured you enough to jump into the Patreon and finally start teaching all the knowledge that you had in aesthetics and in the in the treatment room and outside with social media. And when you started doing that, you went, okay, I don't want to work 5 days a week in the treatment room. You loved pouring into estheticians. You loved the consulting, right? You enjoyed building a brand on social media, and being an influence in the space for the good was always the goal. Is our goal from the beginning when we started getting influence is we want to be an influence for good. We want to spread positivity. We want to bring people together. I know everyone says they want to, it sounded so cheesy when I said it. Everyone wants to spread positivity, but we want to bring community, I think was the big thing. And once you started doing that, you went, okay, I can be content with 2 to 3 days of work a week in the treatment room working. I can still treat my amazing clients. I can focus on building my dream clientele. They're the happiest they've ever been. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And the goals change that way too. So touching on one last thing, because we've talked about a million things in this podcast so far, but if you're at a place in your career where you're fully booked, or you're booked and you're happy like we were when we transitioned into a new space, then building Instagram looks a little bit different. Then getting getting reach and views might matter more, especially if you're trying to reach more estheticians. So looking at a lot of estheticians in the space that make funny esthetician content, they're at different places in their careers, right? They could be really happy with where they're booked, and what they want to do is they want to pour into the esthetician community. They want people to find humor and be relatable. Michael, I don't know how to say his last name, Razano. We'll ask him when we see him next month in person. He's going to be on the podcast next month. So make sure you're watching the podcast. That's our next guest. This is the exclusive release here. But he makes amazing, funny esthetician content like that. Really, I mean, they get me sometimes. It really hits the nail on the head. And he does a lot of speaking engagements. He's at events all the time. He's really kind of a staple in the esthetician community for kind of being out there. And people, I mean, we'll find out. People seem to love him, and I'm sure we will too. And you guys will get to know him really well on our podcast as well. But he's at a different, I will talk to him about that, but I'm sure he's at a different place in his career where those posts are not supposed to get new clients, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to bring fun into the community and spread some of the struggles that he has as being an esthetician sometimes, of, breaking your back, or, getting the jitters after having coffee and dermaplaning. Thinking about his videos. I know, I was thinking about the one he posted yesterday, the day before, where he was in the I don't know if you saw it, he's in a mag lamp. And then he gets up and he's like, where am I? Which I don't, I'm just taking your advice. I've never done that before. I've never been in a mag lamp. I'm not an esthetician, but I'd imagine that's really funny for estheticians. So I guess the main thing I want people to understand is that if you're not there in your career, don't compare yourselves to the people that are at a different place in their career, that are doing things with a different goal, a different purpose in mind. They're trying to get speaking engagements. They're trying to build influence so they can sell their course. They can teach something new. They can do brand deals, and all of those things are okay. But just remember where you are in your journey, if those matter or not.
I feel like I'm just thinking about all the bigger estheticians in the space, and a lot of them do make those type of videos, and it makes sense because, again, you're at a place in business where you're like, I'm not trying to get new clients, I'm sure. And you're just really content, and you can branch out and do those things. And
they might be getting clients and it's just like where we are now. That hydrofacial
and it's a mix
video.
Of both.
The hydrofacial video was not supposed to get new clients. It was just, we wanted to pour into the space. I mean, it's 5 million views. We made zero money off that, right? So it was really just to kind of like give the community an amazing representation of a service. TikTok. You need to make it into a TikTok? I don't know why we didn't make that into a TikTok yet, or post it on TikTok. But you'll see this on TikTok. But I think that that just shows right there that we can. I mean, we're paying a graphic designer, a motion graphic designer, to build that for us with no money that comes from it. It's really just to pour into the community, and it's gotten thousands and thousands of shares and saves. And most of those shares are estheticians showing it to their clients that they're working on they're trying to build that trust with their clients. Your clients don't need to get sold on hydrofacial. They're booking hydrofacial with their eyes closed. Most of your new clients are just booking hydrofacial with you because that's what they've heard of you. That's what they see of you. The Google reviews say hydrofacial. So I mean, to us, it's just kind of be on brand and to build the influence in the space and build community in the space. But I wouldn't recommend a new esthetician pay to build, to make that same design like we did.
And when you get that many eyeballs on you kind of transition to a leader in the space, and that's also where different types of content comes in, because you are a leader in the space and you do naturally make content for estheticians. So just know that if you're building, just focus on clients. If you're constantly pouring into it and you want to become a leader in the space, just know that it'll come naturally if you're really working hard and building, niching down, and just making a name for yourself in the space. That comes to your branding, which is more than fonts and colors. It's all about your niche in the aesthetics industry and what your page looks like, how it all ties together, and what makes you so special and what people know and love you for.
And if you're interested in hearing more about building that brand and space, there's a few things you could do. One, you can comment down below. We don't know how many estheticians that are super established watching this podcast or that are newer, but if there is more established estheticians and you're this deep in the podcast, let us know, and we can do more full podcasts diving in on being an influence in the space, building that brand. But the other thing you could do is you could come to our event, the Aesthetic Experience. That'll be February of next year in Victoria. We'll be teaching on building a premium brand, and that goes She's going to talk about it across the board if you're trying to build clients or if you're trying to take that next step in your career as an esthetician to be a premium provider and a premium name in the space. So you're going to want to hear that. The tickets for the aesthetic experience will be down below. They're almost sold out. We're getting there. The ticket prices actually go up in August 1st, which will be in a couple weeks after this video comes out. So buy your tickets. It's going to be an amazing, I don't want to call it a once in a lifetime experience, but I guess the first one will be because it's going to change and adapt over time and get better. But this first one is going to be huge for the aesthetic space and you do not want to miss it.
Yeah. Make sure you use my code SkinByYou50 for $50 off. This is going to be so much fun. A day full of learning, connections, community, and my favorite part, which I keep talking about, is going to be the dance party at the end. I don't have the best moves, but I'm so excited.
We'll keep the lights low so they
don't put me on the spotlight.
But we won't put the spotlight right on you. We just stay right on the outside. Yeah, they won't look. Yeah.
There's going to be a beautiful lunch for us all to connect with, and at the end, we're going to get dressed all fancy and have a plated dinner, and then end the night with DJ dancing, all the community that we make. And if you want to continue the fun, you can join us for brunch on Sunday, which I'm really excited about that as well.
Yeah, Victoria loves a good mimosa.
Yes, I do. If you know me, you know I love mimosas.
Well, thank you for listening to us go on and on in this podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.